Hey guys, it's Bethany with ABQ Creations here with another tutorial for you. Today we're going to go over part 2 of our Fall into Summer shawl series. If you'll remember from last time, we went through how to use a treble crochet and 3 chain stitches to make a nice open weave look. So for this one, we're going to use another simple stitch, and I'll go through and I'll show you how to do that. And by changing up the pattern slightly, you can go ahead and get another great look such as this. Here are the supplies that you'll need for this tutorial. A crochet hook. Today I'm using a 6.5mm size hook. Yarn. Today I'm using Peaches and Cream in the color Sea Breeze. It's a nice cotton yarn. If you don't want to worry about it shrinking up, just make sure you wash it and lay it flat to dry. Otherwise you can also use an acrylic yarn. Just make sure it's a worsted weight yarn for this project. Scissors and a needle for weaving in your ends. Let's get started. To get started with part 2 of our shawl series, I'm going to chain on 211 chains. If you would like to make it wider or narrower, you will need to keep this pattern in multiples of 3 plus 7. Once you have 211 chains, or whatever you want to do with multiples of 3 plus 7, we're going to do a double crochet into our 7th chain. And I work in the back loops. So we're going to do a double crochet, and that'll create our first box. We're going to chain 2 and do a double crochet. We're going to skip 2 chains and work into the 3rd chain and do our double crochet. Oops. And again, we're going to chain 2, yarn over and double crochet into the 3rd chain again. Chain 2, double crochet into the 3rd chain, and we're going to continue this pattern all the way across. So I'll meet with you at the end of the row. I'm coming to the end of my first row, and you should have something that looks similar to this. You'll notice if you had participated and crocheted along with my part 1 series, you'll notice this looks very similar. However, the squares are smaller, so that's what I meant about showing you how to change up the pattern slightly and being able to get a different look. So this will create more squares in the look, and they'll be slightly smaller. If you felt like the other one was too boxy for you, it was too big of squares, then this is a great option, could be a great option for you. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 2 and turn my work, and this is where, if you followed along with the first part, you'll notice it's very similar. We're going to do a double crochet decrease. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the top of that last double crochet. We're going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the next double crochet, yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3. So that's our first double crochet decrease. Then we're just going to go ahead and chain 2 and then do a double crochet in the top of our next double crochet. Chain 2, double crochet in the top of the next double crochet, and we're just going to continue that pattern all the way across, and we're going to be doing a decrease at the beginning and the end of every single row. So I'll meet back with you at the end of this row. I'm up to my last decrease of the row, so I'm going to chain 2 and start my double crochet decrease. So I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the last double crochet of the first double crochet of the previous round. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, so I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and then I'm going to skip the first 2, and into the 3rd chain I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, and that is my last decrease. So again, I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and we're going to start off with a decrease right away. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I'm going to continue the pattern from the previous round. So we're going to chain 2 and then do a double crochet in the top of the next double crochet. So again, just remember to decrease at the beginning and end of every round, and I will meet back with you once we are working up to our point. Well, coming to the end of my 3rd row, I wanted to show you the final decrease for this row just because it is slightly different than the previous round. Instead of decreasing into the chain at the end, we are decreasing into the last decrease. So we're going to chain 2 and then we're going to complete the decrease. So inserting into that double crochet is normal, and then in here we're going to insert our hook and finish the decrease into this final stitch, and that's the top of our decrease stitch. So from now on, when you come to the end of a row, this is what you're going to do. You're going to start your decrease into the double crochet and then finish it into the decrease of the previous round. And then you go ahead and chain 2 and start with a decrease right away. And continue on, and that will give you the triangle shape because you'll continue to go up. So again, I'll meet back with you once that's done. And you can see that I have now worked up my shawl so that I'm coming up to the point. And once you get down to either 4 double crochets or 3, this is where you're going to finish it off. So I'm going to show you what you would do first if you have 3 double crochets left, because if you started with a different amount of chains at the beginning, then you might be at a different point than I am. So you might have just 3 instead of 4, and that's okay. So if I had 3 double crochets left, I would just do a triple decrease over them. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the top of that last decrease stitch. So I'm going to start my double crochet decrease, and then I'm going to go ahead into the next one, yarn over and insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So I still have 3 on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over again and then go into the 3rd stitch. Pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and then you're going to pull it through all 4 loops on your hook. So that's how I would finish it if I had the 3 double crochets left. Now, because I have 4, this is how I'm going to finish up the shawl. I'm going to do 2 decreases. So I'm going to do a double crochet decrease from this stitch into the next, and then I'm going to close that off, going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do my final decrease over the next 2. Now I'm going to chain 1 just to close that off. You don't have to. I'm going to cut off my yarn, and then I'll weave in that end. Now the reason you can get away with this is because if you add fringe or something, it will bring the point down further. I am actually going to leave the fringe off of this one, and I'll show you what that looks like. If you want to go ahead and add fringe to yours, you can put it wherever you would like along the side. I'd probably stick with every other on this open shawl instead of doing every one. But if you want a lot of fringe, go ahead and place it at the side of every single row. And then I will go ahead and post that video right after this on how to add fringe to your work. If you want to leave it like this, just go ahead and weave in your ends, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you could, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my current projects and postings and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful day. The first thing you need to do when adding fringe to your work is figuring out where you would like to have the placement of the fringe and how much fringe you want hanging off. For example, I wanted to have 3 strands of worsted weight yarn folded over to make 6 strands for each fringe, and I wanted to place them so that they were at every other loop on my project. So once you have the placement down, because you don't want it to be overcrowded and you don't want it to be too few, but again, that's totally up to you. And then I did the same thing on this shawl, again, trying to find every other loop and place it there for every other row. So on my summer shawl, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to start down at the bottom, but I need to cut my yarn first. And actually I should say you also need your cell phone or something to measure around. My strands end up being about 11 inches in length, but this is how I measure mine out. So I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to measure around it, and this will be 1 strand. So to do 2, 3, and you don't want to pull too tight because you won't be able to get your scissors in. So I kind of just gently wrap, and that's 4, 5, 6, 7. And I usually wrap until I get about 21 strands because it's a divisible by 3. But go ahead and finish wrapping up, and I'll meet back with you once we finish our 21 rounds. Okay, after you have about 21 strands, and it's not, you don't have to be exact with it. I wouldn't do too many more than that because the bulkier you get up here, the more uneven the strand lengths will be. And it's okay if they're not totally perfect. You really don't notice when your work is finished. And if you want to touch that up, you can, but I kind of like to leave it a little bit more natural. So I'm going to clip my strand, and then, and you want to be careful not to damage your phone or whatever you're using. Okay, then I go in and cut, and now I've got my strands I want to work with. So I'm going to take 3 of them. Okay, and you try to line them up. Again, some will go just a little bit longer. Just got a hair in there. Some will go just a little bit longer than others, and that's okay. So you're going to join them at the tip and keep this loop open. You're going to find on your work where you want to place it. So I'm going to start at the tip of my shawl. Now I'm going to just place my hook. Here, let me get the back out of there. Okay. I'm going to place my hook through where I want to place my fringe. I'm going to take my folded over strands and get right in the middle. I'm going to pull it through that loop and do like a yarn over here, and then I'm going to pull all 6 of the strands through that loop and pull tight. And that's our first fringe. So we're going to go ahead and continue this. So again, you want to figure out where you want each of your strands to be placed. So you just kind of eyeball it and figure where you would like to most see it. I think I'm just going to go for these loops on each of these, and then I'll see where it goes. So you can even start by placing your hook there. Grab 3 more strands. Line them up. And pull tight. So again, we're going to keep it even. So we're just going to continue all the way up the shawl with this. The only thing to make sure of, guys, is to remain consistent in how you're applying it. So if I'm going through this side of the shawl, I'm going to want to go through this side all the way up. I don't want to turn my work and work through the back of this, unless you wanted to make it into sort of a design, because you'll notice how the knot goes. It looks like this from this side, and you can always change it around so that this side is showing, that's fine. But just be consistent all the way, because your knot will look different if you're entering through opposite sides. So don't interchange that. Okay, so I'm gonna get my next one going. And that is how you add fringe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my current videos. You can see some of the other examples of where I used fringe on my work down below. I'll link to my projects if you'd like to do some of these shawls. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.